today's webinar is on how students can maximise their career prospects with a UK study experience. This webinar is brought to you exclusively by the Chopras, one of India's largest and most successful global education companies. Our keynote speaker this afternoon is Mrs. Bindu Chopra. Bindu, who holds the position of Director, International Relations at the Chopras, is widely known as one of the leading professionals in the global education industry. She holds 30 years of experience, 13 of which have been spent shaping the lives and careers of students aspiring for an overseas education. Bindu has travelled extensively across the globe, having lived and worked in both Africa and the Middle East. Bindu also has significant experience of the UK, having spent considerable amounts of time in the country during the course of her career. Our UK webinar today will cover a number of key areas. The UK as a study destination, funding requirements, student visa updates, new English language requirements, scholarship opportunities and prerequisites. The webinar will also talk about students who are seeking admission in 2015 and how they can still secure a place. The structure of the webinar today will be in the format of a presentation. Questions will be taken throughout the webinar, so please do take the opportunity to post these via the chat facility as we go along. We will attempt to answer as many of the questions that come in as possible, but guarantee that any unanswered questions today will get a response by email in the coming few days. We hope you enjoy today's webinar, and I will now hand over to Mrs. Bindu Chopra to officially begin today's event.
Good evening, all of you. It's wonderful to be hosting a webinar for the UK as a student destination. I'm absolutely delighted. We have more than 300 students and parents, I suppose, who have registered to listen to us. Do post your questions, and I promise we'll try and answer them while we are on air just now. And if not, we'll make sure that you will have an answer by, in a couple of days if they're so difficult for us to get to. Now, if we take the UK as a student destination, why would a student actually go to the UK? Let's take them one by one. Some of the most reputed, oldest universities in the world are in the UK. We take Oxford, which started in 1066. Cambridge started in 1209. We have St. Andrews, Glasgow, Aberdeen, a number of them that are over 400 years old. As far as quality is concerned, UK boasts of 4 of the world's top 10 universities. I will again say Cambridge and Oxford, also Imperial College London and UCL. 4 out of the 10 top ones are in the UK. We have very, very strong ties. We go back a very long way with the UK, and this has only strengthened through time. The Indian system is very similar to the British one. We have a 10+2, they have an 11+2. So it's very, very similar up to high school. And then we carry on in college and university level. And like them, ours are also 3-year degrees. Our engineering ones, of course, are 4 years. But there's a lot of similarity in the way we study and our educational history. The UK is also more research oriented. How they do that is that they have a certain number of credits reserved for research work. At the undergraduate level, it could be a project that they do. At the master's level, they do a strong dissertation. So the research part of it is built into the program. So it is a great way to study. In fact, most other parts of the world have an exam-based curriculum. So you end up doing an exam to get your marks. Unlike that, the UK has laid a lot of emphasis on being able to use the knowledge and use it in a very practical study format. Um, it's a very safe country to live in. They don't have a gun culture like some of our other countries do. Fairly safe country, small towns, good campus universities, an internationally recognized qualification like most countries outside. So you have a good British degree. You're acceptable for most, I would say, private companies in India and of course outside. The career prospects are part of that of why you're going to do your masters, and if you have a good degree to come back to, your career of course will go forward. I want to add over here the other one which is great is there's no language barrier. Before I come to the tuition fees, there's no language barrier. It's English speaking, and that's one of our strengths in India, that we are taught in English, and that is a great, great help. We also have a lot of very, very well-known alumni, and we can talk about them as well. Now, as far as tuition fees and living costs are concerned, it's a very, just 1 minute, yeah. The undergraduate degrees are between, I would say, 11 to about £15,000. Postgraduate degrees, as you can see, are between 12 and I would say 19 or £2,100, £21,000, I'm sorry. And the doctoral degree is about £13,000 per year. But of course, it can go on between 3 and 5 years, so it's not such a less expensive option. Living costs, as far as we are concerned, are London is a minimum of 1,000. Now this is a minimum, okay, of £1,000 a month, and the rest of the UK is 800. The figures that we are using here are what you require when you file your visa. If as a student, you live as a student, this should cover your costs. But if you're a student who has extravagant tastes, then I'm afraid the living costs could go up. Let's talk about the student visas and what the funding documents for a student visa are for the UK. I have to tell you that nothing much has changed, luckily, and the documents are the same as they have always been. So you need to do a 1-year tuition fee plus living expenses, and this is for every year. So an undergraduate would show only 1 year's tuition fees plus the living expenses. Postgraduate will show his complete, which is only 1 year. The other rule that the UKVI has is that the funds should be a minimum of 28 days old at the time of booking your appointment. Anything that is on this slide, we at the Chopras are very, very happy to help you and to guide you on these documents. The acceptable funds by the UKVI are an education loan, savings, and fixed deposits. These are the only three that can be used. The funds should be in the name of the student or parent, or can be jointly held. The funds should be in an UKVI approved financial institution. This can be found very, very easily on the UKVI website, or as I said earlier, any one of our counselors in our 20 offices would be more than happy to guide you through these, to guide you through the process. Now, let's come to the very, very basics of why and how we can have the other part of funding. Scholarships, something that all of you have written in about. So we have thought we'll tell you what the scholarships are and how you can go about getting a scholarship. Now, the UK has a number of ways of scholarship funding. You have country bursaries, which means certain universities might give you a fee waiver only because you're from India. They might have India scholarships, Nigeria scholarships, countries like that. But India scholarships, there are many universities give you maybe £1,000 off or £1,500 off, and there are no real deadlines. As long as you are made given an unconditional offer, that is enough to give you the country bursary. The other reason why country bursaries are nice, are good, is that you don't need to actually apply for them. As long as you're an Indian student holding an unconditional offer, you will be given a country bursary. Then you have the university scholarships. The universities are looking at Indian students very carefully. Not only universities, certain departments are looking for really good scholarships, really good students to give their scholarships to. I mean, for example, Newcastle University has a business excellence scholarship of about £5,000. Now, you of course, they are all merit-based scholarships, so you need to be a really good student with good academic marks. Otherwise, you'll find that very difficult. Um they have, in fact, Newcastle has a number of scholarships. Now, sometimes it's a department. It may not be a university-based thing. It may be a department. Let me give you an example of that. Leeds University has a particular course. It's an MSc in colorants and fine chemicals in the School of Chemistry. They're looking for a really good student. And they have three scholarships of £10,000 each. So there are university specific, they can be department specific. Sometimes you can get a discount on your fees if you're paying the full fees up front. So there are a number of ways that we can actually get these scholarships. The Saltire scholarships. Now, unfortunately, the deadline has passed, but these are basically for students who are wishing to study in a Scottish university. Um, the great scholarships are actually with British Council. They have launched these great scholarships, and they are giving more than 370 scholarships for Indian students, and they're worth over £1 million. I mean, 37 UK universities, institutions have partnered with the British Council across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And the deadline, unfortunately, is different for each university. Each university might have, a certain date that they would give these scholarships for. So all you need to do is basically talk to us, and we'll be more than happy to help you out with these. Then you have the British Council IELTS Award, which is absolutely a wonderful award. They have increased it from 8 to 10 of them. This is for students who have sat the IELTS exam and have been awarded, I think it says, I think 6.5 and above. But we have found in our experience that students with an IELTS of at least 8 and above are the ones who really get it. The deadline is 30th of June, guys. So those of you who've already done your IELTS and have got 8, I suggest you apply for it. It's a wonderful award, 3 lakh rupees, that's £3,000 nearly, given to 10 Indian students. And they have a wonderful ceremony at the end of it to acknowledge that you have done well in a different place every year. Last year was in Hyderabad. So that's another one. The Chevening scholarships. Now, the Chevening is, again, the deadlines are over. It's in November, it's October, November. So all of those of you who are listening in and are planning to go next year, these scholarships are funded by the British government and partner institutions. They are awarded to outstanding students who study postgraduate courses at UK universities. The deadline is, as I said, October, November of the preceding year. It's a difficult, I wouldn't say difficult, I would say competitive scholarship. There are a few that are given out, and you have to write the essay, and you have to write, we'll talk about that just now, and of course strong interviews as well for those. You have also the Chevening Gurukul fellowships, which I haven't even put down. So there are lots. British Council has a lot of scholarships which are for scholars, and they're based completely on academic merit. The Charles Wallace ones are for enable Indians to in the mid stage of their careers. It's not really meant for straightforward college students, but it is for artistic, academic, and professional ambitions. And it's usually for people who have taken a little break and are working in a particular area. And again, November is the scholarship. Now there are a lot of private scholarships along the way. INLACS is one, which is pretty well known. 15th of April was the deadline. There's a Kapila Hingorani postgraduate scholarship at Sheffield Hallam. It's for the law. It's for Department of Law. So like that, there are a number of scholarships that are available. Now, that's easy for me to say is that you can get scholarships or they're competitive. But how should you start doing the homework on these scholarships? What are the prerequisites on this? One, detailed research is required on scholarships that you are eligible for. As I said, some are straightforward academic ones, some are based on the fact that they are India-based, so you will get that. But if you want to go in for private scholarships, look at the deadlines. You have to apply well in time. A lot of the really big ones, £10,000 and above, you will find that you have to apply at least a year in advance. So homework, research, very important. To apply, you must have an offer from the university. Sometimes you may not have an offer, but you would have applied to the university. You may be able to apply for a scholarship like Chevening or Charles Wallace or one of those, even with the fact that you have applied to the university. But you can't say to the scholarship board that I am going to apply to the UK. What scholarship am I entitled for? That doesn't work. Okay, you must have an offer. Some of them may require you to write an essay. Now, essay writing is a skill. To be able to write an essay, 90% of the time the essay is on a question based on, like your statement of purpose, on why you should get the scholarship or why you wish to study that subject, what motivates you to study that particular subject, and of course, how is that going to help in your career? I mean, if you're doing one on, say, gender studies or an unusual, course, then you have to tell them how is that going to benefit? How is the country going to benefit? A lot of them are India-based, so they will want to know how will you use it back home for the good of the country. Okay, the British Council ones are especially like that, other than the IELTS one, which is a 3 lakh scholarship outright for you to do whatever you want with. Now, you may also have to appear for an interview. One of the things that you may want to do is do a little homework. The interview panels for all the big ones, the Rhodes Scholarship, the Felix, the Chevening, all these scholarships, INLACS, all these scholarships have a panel of people, of interviewers, and they're not necessarily technically going to ask you technical questions alone about the course that you study. So the interviewing techniques, the skills required to answer is also extremely important. So while scholarships are available, you must understand that unless you do your homework, it becomes even more competitive than it is. Now, I know I said you can ask questions, but I didn't realize that you're going to ask quite so many. So let's have a look at some of these questions. how much does one person have to bear for studying in the UK? This is Ronak. Uh, Ronak, it's as I explained in my previous slide, it's your tuition fees plus living costs. So I would put it anywhere between 20 to 25 lakh Indian rupees per year. So if you're doing an undergraduate course, that might be 3 years. If it's a post-graduation course, it will be 1 year. If it is a PhD, it could be anything between 3 and 5 years. So I would say you should budget for about between 20 and 25. Now, if you're doing an MBA, that could get very, very much more expensive because the cost of an MBA is much more, much more than regular. Okay. Uh, what is the okay? Is there a medical course or not? Um, the medical course is yes, of course you can do medicine in the UK. It's one of the countries that takes you like India after year 12, but it is extremely competitive, extremely competitive. You need to have 4 A levels instead of 3 most of the time, and now they're asking for A stars. If you're studying in India and you are studying from an Indian board, I would say your marks should be in the 90s. Along with that, you have to do a test, an exam called the UK CAT. And the application has to be done by 15th of October of the preceding year. Does that make sense? So it's not an easy one. It's a more difficult one. What are the job opportunities? Rishka wants to know. Scholarships. Bharat, I told you about the scholarships? I just finished telling you about the scholarships. So we'll take that. I will take that as answer. All right. What else? Can IELTS be waived to get admission to the university? This is Nilima. Nilima, yes, IELTS can be waived sometimes by the university if the English language marks are good in year 12, but not always. Okay, it's only very, very specific universities that allow it. But I suggest you still do an English proficiency test for that. What is it? Can I work part-time while studying? And how much will I be paid? Rohan, yes, all international students can do part-time jobs. Not a problem. They are allowed to work 20 hours a week during the term period, full-time during holidays. But for a postgraduate student, 20 hours may be a little high because it's a very, very tight year. It's a very compressed year. You have a lot of studying to do. But if that's your question, yes, you can. I don't know whether you're an undergrad or a postgrad student. On an average, a student is paid between, I would say, £7 to £10 per hour. Okay. Shall we move on? I will answer. I will take more questions as we go along. Not a problem at all. Now, the UKVI has changed their English language. No, I wouldn't say changed, but they've increased or they've introduced new English language requirements for students wanting to study in the UK. So from April the 6th, the only Sept, which is the secure English language test, will be IELTS. And it will be a special one, which is approved by them. So it is called the UKVI IELTS. It costs more and it is only available in 12 centers in the country. Now, while they have done this, they have said that this IELTS is mandatory, is compulsory for all courses which are NQF, below NQF 6. So which means 5 and below. What does this really mean? It means that all pre-sessional or foundation courses or diplomas have to do the UKVI IELTS. If you have done it before April the 6th, that's okay. That is very, very doable, usable till the 5th of November. So which means you can use it for this year's entry. After the 6th of April, for anybody who's going in for a pathway program, a diploma, a foundation, or a pre-sessional, has to take IELTS, the UKVI IELTS. So that's become mandatory for them. But the universities, okay, those with a valid CELT taken before 6th of April, can, whatever they have taken, they can take. So if they have a PTE score, they have the regular IELTS score. Some universities also take TOEFL, but very few. They can use their certificates for visa up to the 5th of November. So don't get worried about that. Now, if your degree, if the university can make its own assessment, if they decide that your English is good based on your 12th standard marks, some of them do, that is acceptable. So anything with a degree level and above, which is NQF level 6 and above, can do other proficiency tests like the IELTS, regular, PTE or TOEFL, and the universities will accept that. And the only reason being that the UKVI IELTS is only at the moment delivered in 12 centers in India, and it may be difficult to get a date. But before you decide which one you can use, please, it has to be either you talk to the universities or come and talk to us, and we will let you know which one is acceptable. Because as I said, TOEFL is not acceptable by everybody, but most of them will accept the regular IELTS. Okay? There are certain student visa updates. The UKVI has tried to streamline the process now. What's going to happen now is that when you apply for a visa from the 14th of April, for those of you who have applied already will know this, but from now on, the students who apply for a visa apply on the same application form. That has not changed. But the little sticker that you get in your passport, the vignette that you get in your passport, which used to tell you the duration of your visa, will now be valid for only 30 days. So it is an entry clearance to be able to get to the UK and travel. The 30 days will start from the date entered on your visa application. You know, when you're filling in an application, it asks you which date you intend to travel to the UK. They will use that date. But on the other hand, if for whatever reason you're filing late, or you have filed and you haven't got your visa before that date, the date that it will start will be from the date that the visa was issued. So 30 days you have to be able to travel to the UK. The student must travel within these 30 days or the vignette will expire and you will have to make a new application. The other change is that how do you get your full visa? The 30-day vignette or the sticker in your passport will also be accompanied by a letter stating the nominated post office where the student will be given their biometric residence permit, which gives you permission to stay in the UK for the duration of your course. Now, this letter, so it again depends on the address that you have put on your UK visa application. that PIN code is what they will use. Don't get worried, guys. These are just a process change. The universities are your sponsors. They will make sure that you will have full access on the process as soon as you get to the UK. The post office that will be on the letter usually will be the one that's closest to the university. So don't get worked up about it. This process must be completed within 10 days of arriving in the UK. So don't go in there having a holiday. First finish this and then you can go on your little holiday. The only difference is that it's not going to be stamped on your passport. You will get a biometric residence permit, which is like a little credit card, which has all your details on it, including your biometrics. So the wonderful thing is that is what you will carry when you travel in and around the UK. You don't really need a visa for that because all your details are on that card. Much easier to carry, less bulkier to carry, and you don't have to worry about your passport getting lost. As I said, this is just a process change. Otherwise, the funding, the CAS letter, everything remains absolutely the same. Gosh, look at the number of questions you guys are sending us. Let me just take one or two more and then one minute. Okay, now we are talking about the visas. Is an interview mandatory is an interview mandatory while filing my visa? Yes, Prakash. The interview is mandatory. It's called a credibility interview, and when you go to file your visa, you are it's a video conferencing kind of thing. So you will be asked basic questions by somebody sitting in the Home Office in Sheffield. It doesn't take very long. It takes about 15-20 minutes, and the questions are usually about to find out whether you are a genuine student. So that's what is basically it. And they ask you questions, about the course, where you're going to study. They want to know whether you are genuine and you know what you're going there for, or you're getting there illegally through a study visa. So that's all it is. But if you don't answer your questions well, or they feel that they want to ask you some more, they do call at random a few people for a long interview, but they're very, it's not the usual, it's not the norm. Every year, they probably call a few hundred out of the thousands of visas that they process. So yes, the simple 15-minute credibility interview is part of the course. What else is there? How many hours do I need to go to class? My gosh, you're going there to study. And you want to know how many hours? Well, let me tell you. Usually about 15 to 18 hours per week is the actual classroom teaching. But apart from that, you will do library research, tutorials, assignments. So you have to build them into your timetable. So if you're asking me how much work can I do, and that's why you want to know, well, please, you have to be careful with these, okay? Now, how much? I think Bharat's we've answered. Okay, I'm a student of Indira Gandhi National Open University studying in SYB, and I'm thinking of UK as a destination. I have good grades, average, but I wanted to know, what is it that you want to know? What are my, such as Cambridge, Oxford, and Imperial College London? What are my chances of getting in? Sahil, because you're from the Open University, it'll be even more competitive. Places like Imperial might want you to do either a GRE or a GMAT. And Oxford and Cambridge will definitely want recognized, from the national boards. So I'm afraid those might be a little more difficult for you to get in. But we could have a look at your papers and suggest other choices as well for you. I have not got any requirement for IELTS exam in my conditional offer for BBA. Do I still require an IELTS exam? No, not at all. If they haven't asked you for it, then you don't need it. But my suggestion is that for visas, you should actually do the IELTS. But if the university has not asked you, then that's fine, as long as they give you a CAS to be able to file your visa. Now, can I just carry on? And I promise you I will come back to every one of these questions again. The other update that I have to give you is the NHS charge. All these years, the NHS was pretty much free for students. But now from the 6th of April, a health surcharge comes into effect for all UK-bound students studying on a course of 6 months or longer. This charge will also apply to dependents in case you're going for an MBA or something and you're taking your spouse and children. This charge is compulsory and the total fee is calculated on the duration of the visa. So the undergrad students will pay more, postgrad students will pay less, and research or PhD students will pay far more. They must be paid up front at the time of filing the visa, and the NHS charge will be collected as part of the visa application process. Now, under normal circumstances, for other people it's £200, but for students it's £150 per year. The visa application will be refused if the NHS charge is not paid. The fee, however, will be automatically refunded in case of a visa rejection. It will not be refunded if students depart the UK early or if they do not use the NHS during their time in the UK. Other countries call this an insurance. In America, it's part of your fees. In Australia, it's part of the fees of the overseas health surcharge, it's called. So every country now has an insurance to make sure that the students are not a drain on the local exchequer. Remember, students don't pay any taxes. So the NHS charge right now is part of the student fees. You have to take it like that. Now, how much is it? As I said, £450 for undergraduates, £225 for postgraduates, because remember, you get a longer visa. So while you stay there longer, you pay a little more, and about £750 for research students if they're going to do 5 years, and £450 if they're going to do 3 years. So it depends on what the CAS says. Depending on that, the NHS charge is now going to be part of your visa fees. Also, the visa fees are now £322 for those of you who have looked at it a while ago. That's also gone up by about £10 or so to £322. Now, admissions. They are open for September, for January next year, and even for July. For those of you who are looking at MBAs, there are MBA courses, especially the London campuses, of several universities that are open for July as well. Cardiff Metropolitan has a July start. University of Bedfordshire has a July start. Coventry has a July start. So business courses mainly can even have an in-between start, but otherwise September. Remember, the UK does not have deadlines for all courses. Sometimes courses close down because they are more popular than others, but otherwise in general the UK has a rolling admission policy, and that is a huge help. So if you have you do want to go, please come to us. Admissions are still open, and we will definitely help you to get there. There's a wide range of undergraduate and postgraduate programs available across the UK. In fact, the UK is also flexible in other areas. Now, with the undergraduate, with the year 12 marks coming out soon, I know all of us are waiting. May is a terrible month for some people and a wonderful one for some. All state boards and the ISC and the CBSE results will be coming out in the month by the end of May. Of course, IB, if anybody here is doing IB, is 5th of July, and A levels are in August. But for the Indian curriculum, for you, you have an advantage over the others because your results come out earlier. If you haven't met your condition, that's, I can't say all right, but we can help. There are lots and lots of ways of getting to study in the United Kingdom. There are things called a pathway program, which allow you to study 1 year in a diploma and go straight into second year to meet your friends in the next, in year 2. The other choices are 1 year in India, and again, the following year, if you do reasonably well, you can join your friends in year 2. What I'm saying to you is that you will not lose a year. You can do 1 year in India. What happens is that you do lesser subjects, but you do them very well. And if you have universities that you're dying to go to and you cannot do it with your marks just now, I'll give you an example. If you want to go to Manchester or you want to go to Leeds and you have only got, say, 75 or 78%, and they're requiring 85 for business courses. What you can do is you can do a 1 year program with the NCUK, which stands for National Consortium of UK Universities, with us in India. And you have to get over 65% in your year 1, which you're going to do in India. And you can go straight into year 2 in any one of these universities. And the consortium is made up of 11 of them. So you have big ones, big names, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Liverpool, and lots of others as well. So that's another way. So the range of undergraduate and postgraduate programs are enormous. They're really enormous. So do come in and talk to us and let us help you. Don't get disheartened if your grades are just marginally lower and you still want to go to the university of your choice. We, of course, help from applications. We help you with the accommodation. We, of course, give you visa assistance, give you all the visa updates. We even have a pre-departure briefing so you can meet all the other students going to the similar university. The other one why admissions are still open is that a number of universities are coming to us for about 2 weeks at the end of May, starting 16th of May to about the 5th of June, 3 weeks actually, in many, many cities. So if you go to our website, you can see it's called the Global Education Interact, where you can interact with universities of your choice and sometimes get a recommendation for a quicker turnaround on your application. So do look at our dates on our website and go to the city that's the closest to you, and that should help you to still make it for September this year. For those of you going in for January 2016, no problem. Come and talk to us and we will tell you that the best time to apply. The undergrads for next year, your applications will only open in August this year, but you can start shortlisting your universities from now. Okay? Now, I shouldn't say any questions because I can see there are a number of questions that have come up. Let me take some of those questions now. Are entrance exams required by UK universities? No. most of the courses don't require British universities, don't require an entrance exam. Some courses do. Some courses do. So what we need to do now is, if you're doing medicine, you will need to do the UK CAT. They can see, they have to do the UK CAT. If it's for law, you might need to do the LNAT. But other than that, it doesn't really, you don't really require entrance exams. I would say GMAT, if they're very high-end business schools, sometimes places like LSE or Lancaster might even require you to do for a GRE. But by and large, they do not require they do not require any any entrance exams. How important are sports and extracurricular activities for admission to a UK university? Now, the academic grades are the most important uh, criteria for a British university. Sports and extracurricular activities better your profile as compared to others. Maybe especially for scholarships and stuff. But there are a few scholarships which are based on sports, playing a sport. But by and large, the UK, is really, really looking at academic marks, and they're one of the few countries that don't require other uh, entrance exams. So there you are. Oh, here is Vikas says, I have completed my BDS and thinking to do my masters in UK. Can you explain the process and budget required? Vikas, that is BDS requires you to do the ORE exams. Let me say this, that all clinical courses require you to be registered with the clinical panel. So ORE you require for the dental, you require PLAB for medicine. So till you've cleared those, you can't really touch a patient. Sometimes the BDS ones, you can do non-clinical courses, oral biology, public health, health ethics, and things like that. And while you're doing that 1 year, you can do your ORE exams, and BDS is recognized in the UK, and get a job. But otherwise it's difficult. If you have a little bit of work experience, you can do a clinical course. It will cost you about I would say just the tuition fees about 30 lakhs per year. It's about between 25 and 30,000 pounds per year, and it's usually 2 years. um, okay, I have Jamna by Narsi doing ISC. I want to know how to get into London School of Economics. Um Ajay, you haven't told, oh, sorry, Jay. Jay, you haven't told me when you are going to go. You haven't told me what class you're in. So if you're in the 11th, you can apply for London School of Economics. They will require quite high, the marks need to be quite high. And you can apply by October this year for next year. If you're going to go, you want to go this year, you'll have to check the deadlines on what subject you're wanting to study. But yes, you are in Jamnabai Narsi, so you can go to our Andheri office. They'll be more than happy to help you with your queries on that. Uh, Gosh, we really have a lot of questions. For admission, this is Tara. For admission in September, when should we begin the application for visa process, especially if funding is dependent on an education loan? Tara, you can apply for a visa 90 days prior to the course start date. So if your courses are starting in October, then it's July. If it's in the middle of September, then the middle of June. If you're going to take a loan, your loan can be even 1 month old. So that's okay, but don't make it older than that. And you need a loan letter. It should be an outright sanction, not in principle. And you can certainly use a loan to be able to. You haven't told me where you are, which city you're in, but if you're in any one of those 20 cities that we have offices, certainly walk in, and we're happy to help you. Okay, I'll just take the last question on, and then we shall see, because we have heaps. We have heaps. Are there scholarships available for MBBS course at UK? Rohan, no. The very fact is that if you can get into those universities, that is a huge achievement. As for scholarships, most unlikely for an MBBS degree. It'll cost you between 30 and 35 lakhs a year, uh, and it's for 6 years. So, and of course, as I said to you earlier, you have to be a really good student. Okay, okay, folks. I think we'll have to call it a day today. Don't worry, we have your email IDs, and we will try and send you a mail with your answers to every single one of you who has written in. And thank you very much. Have a good day.
Muted.
Thank you for joining today's webinar. We hope that you found it useful. Thanks particularly to those who contributed with their questions. This helps make the webinar more interactive and is also a very important part of the learning process. We are conscious that some of you may not have received answers to your questions this afternoon. Please rest assured that you will get a response by email. Today's event is part of the Chopras 2015 series of webinars. Several more webinars will take place over the coming months on a variety of interesting topics by experts in their respective fields, and we would encourage you all once again to join in and listen. All of our webinars will be advertised on our website, www.thechopras.com. Please keep checking for further details. Thanks to you all once again. We look forward to connecting with you again soon.